I don't think it changes much. Palpable is the tension between Romney and McCain. That exchange was quite interesting. I think Huckabee performed well. He didn't get a lot of time. This thing goes on, and we will see this fight continuing over the next few days. I think, not to promote tomorrow night, but to promote tomorrow night, that's going to be the matchup. That's going to be the thriller in Manila.
The first time we've seen these two toe-to-toe, one-on-one.
Yeah, and you sat them next to each other, and you could see them glowering back and forth. And I understand both positions, by the way. I noticed that Mitt Romney cited me. I did think McCain made a cheap shot on that interpretation. But it's also true. John McCain says that at that time, that was the time for all good men to come to the aid and stand up for the surge, and Mitt Romney didn't. He said I was a governor, but he was a governor getting ready to run for president. It's a complicated thing.
Gloria Borger?
I think McCain really wanted to make this point, and you used that bite just at the top of the show, that he put his career and his political future on the line to support the surge in Iraq. And he wanted to make a distinction with Romney, which is, I stood up for something, and you knew it was dangerous for you, and you didn't.
Tonight we're going to try to for viewers who didn't watch the entire debate, we're going to be playing significant chunks from this debate. So let's play the exchange they had on Iraq and as we watch that, and then we'll continue to talk about it.
Every single debate that I've attended, Senator. 15 debates, I do not propose, nor have I ever proposed, a public or secret date for withdrawal. It is simply wrong. And by the way, raising it a few days before the Florida primary, when there was very little time for me to correct the record, when the question I was most frequently asked is, oh, you're for a specific date of withdrawal, sort of falls in the kind of dirty tricks that I think Ronald Reagan would have found to be reprehensible.
Gloria Borger, that was clearly the most heated, or one of the most heated exchanges on Iraq.
Oh, yeah. Very heated. He's saying McCain is just another politician.
He's used the word lying before. He didn't use it tonight,
right.
But out on the campaign trail
he didn't. He quoted other people saying it. But what he wanted to point out is that McCain he's not above it all. He tells you he's a straight talker, but he's just another politician. And he raised it during the Florida primary when he knew politically I didn't have enough time to fight back. So he's saying, he's not so different.
I also want to play this exchange. They talked about McCain's record, Romney's criticism of McCain's record for being too liberal. Let's listen in.
I'd also note that if you get endorsed by the New York Times, you're probably not a conservative.
Senator McCain?
Let me note that I was endorsed by your two hometown newspapers who know you best, including the very conservative Boston Herald,
I'd say the same thing.
Who know you well better than anybody. So I'll guarantee you the Arizona Republic will be endorsing me, my friend.
Roland, do you think Romney has been successful in trying to paint McCain as too liberal?
Well, first of all, there's already a lot of people who actually believe he's too liberal based upon his positions. It was interesting. We were downstairs, and Gloria was there. Governor Romney came up to me and said, hey, I heard you last night. You said that I was for gay marriage. I've always been against. But then he said, I've always been for gay rights. He said, and always been for gay rights. And I'm going, pretty interesting. You just accuse him of being liberal, but you make a point to say, I'm always for gay rights. So it's pretty interesting on that whole exchange there, this whole liberal conservative thing.
But, Anderson, you pressed him, McCain, on this question of immigration, because he answered 3 times, my bill will not come up. That legislation will not come up. But you asked, or someone asked, would you support it again? And he finally did say, I think he said no.
Yeah, he did.
On the 5 or 6 big issues that people try to tag John McCain as being liberal, immigration, campaign finance, down the line, he doesn't respond to those. What he says is, well, I've got a record, I've got a life.
Well, actually, he did respond, Bill, because what he consistently said was, look, the American people let their voice be heard. That's not going to come up. And so that sounds like someone who said, look, I had an idea.
Let me just finish my point. On those 5 or 6 issues, he tends to throw up this cloud of, I am who I am, I have served my country. The point I want to make here is that people want real answers to those questions. Sometimes he does, sometimes he doesn't. And he has to watch a kind of moral superiority. Look, I'm John McCain. Everybody admires the hero thing, but it doesn't constitute an answer to some hard questions.
He's trying to make the point that
Gotcha.
lesson learned from the American people. They don't want my bill, so we have to do it a new way, restructure it, border security first, then worry about everything else. And to Bill's point, he's trying to say, I get the message, So that's a good
Right.
change in
Right.
his view,
Right.
as
Right.
opposed to Mitt Romney. Well, you've changed your position for political calculation, to which others would say, well, Senator, you've changed yours for political calculation because you couldn't sell it.
Right, and he also makes the point that, as he said, I'm proud of my record of moving across the aisle, because he said the American
Yes,
people
indeed.
want that.
Yes,
Right?
indeed. Yes,
and,
indeed.
And he was looking at Romney and saying, it's not changing my position, it's moving across the aisle and getting something done.
But Anderson, here's what's interesting. We listened to this whole night. Okay, when you asked the question about the economy and President Bush, Romney says President Bush can talk about his record. He says the blame is in Washington. The Republicans have been in control of Congress. What's interesting is not a single candidate tonight really said, wait a minute, our party was in control of the purse strings. Our party was the one who signed those bills into law. So you would think at some point they would accept some responsibility for the problems of spending in Washington,
Well,
D.C.
McCain
No,
does.
McCain did. McCain did.
Well,
He talked
right,
about
and
spending.
Ron Paul made a comment, but it was interesting. They kept saying, well, Washington, Washington, Washington. It's your party that was in
No, he
charge.
said